Now, the only way a child may or may not remember something depends on the memory, like I told you, right? I remember very little from my childhood, right? Myself. But I do remember taking a shower once in a while with my mom or little details, right? But not big details, right? I remember our cat Morris kind of looking like the cat on TV, right? A yellow and white cat, whatever they call them, right? Right. Maybe. I remember a little bit. I thought I killed the puppy, but I didn't, right. Cause again, right. I even dreamed about Dracula one night, like I said, right. But I have very few detailed memories, right. Now, again, the older you get, though, the more you choose what you remember or not to a point too, right? Like I said, right? So the problem is, how can a 4-year-old know what happened, right? When she couldn't even describe it, right? Okay, if she woke me up or not, right? To what I would have to do or not, right? See, I don't know what, happened as a child, but to a certain time, right? Around first, second, and third grade, right? Really. I do remember a little bit of bullying off of Skidaway before I went to school there, right? By the people we lived next to, right? Now, it's when we moved to Chatham City, though, which is second grade, and I was going to the school there, right? And then I went to Port Wentworth, and then I went to Strong, right? Elementary, right? All around the area we were living in, right? But then we also moved again to Grange Road, right? When Mom and Big Roddy got together, for example, right? But I don't know any details, like I told you. And Mom even told me about her and Debbie seeing me show my penis to a girl one time, right? But I was still a little kid, right? Like I said, right? The only way I would do that is if my dad was showing me his or something. I don't know, right? Maybe, I'm guessing, right? But again, right? That's still around under 5, maybe, right. And then the memories kind of get more clearer, right? But still not everything, every minute of every day, right? No one remembers the, schoolwork you do every day from first grade to 6th grade anyway, right? But you do know if something off happens, all right? Like I told you one time I got a boner in class, right? But it's kind of an ambiguous boner, right? I know. But it only happened one time, right? 2, right? But they noticed a difference. And I'm still around 12, right? And I don't know why it happened. It just happened, right? But again, weird, right? But again, not criminal, right? Again, right? Now, the only way my stepdaughter can know anything is through her mom asking her repeatedly what happened, right? See, that's the problem too, right? Now, Once she does that, right? If the mom thinks it's pedophilia and it's not, right? See, I might have an explanation for that, what I was doing, right? That's not pedophilia. But see, the problem is if the child said grandma showed her that, do I tell my ex-wife, if I'm trying to smell her, right, that her mother was the one the child related that to? Right? If you know what I mean, right? And that's why I'm laughing at it. This is laughable, right? What I'm doing is smelling her crotch area, but sticking my tongue out all the way down and back up. As if I'm licking her, but I never touched her. The reason I would be doing that, and I'm just guessing, right, is I'm trying to make sure if one of the reasons she was in there is she didn't need to pee or didn't already pee herself, right, and didn't want a bath or a shower. Right. Now, I'm also entitled to face my accuser, right, and to a fair trial, and again, what, right? To tell my side of things, right? Even if I have amnesia or something, right? And you're trying to make me remember something, right? Which the mom never fell 3 stories. I did 2 weeks later, right? I don't know. That's right. Okay. And then from then I'm in the hospital for 2 weeks, and then I start getting out of bed after 4 weeks, and then I'm up on my feet again, right? Right. Now, I can't fake my x-rays. I don't even know how to do that, right? But if God's not involved with it, I wouldn't be walking now, right? See what I mean, right? I know. And the thing is, if Daphne made her daughter think I really licked her when I didn't and told her as much, right? The child's memory of it that night has become askewed, right? And so what? Maybe I barely touched it. I don't recall that either, right? But I think I know what I would be doing, right, in that situation. Ain't licking her, but to smell her, right? Why would I stick my tongue all the way out and down, right? If I was just trying to lick her, I wouldn't need to do that emphasis, right? But if I'm trying to make sure she didn't pee herself and I don't want to cause her any psychological damage, right? And I'm trying to smell her, and I got to go down to the crotch area to make sure she didn't pee because the underwear was already off and on the floor by me, right? I don't know. And that's the point, right? That's not anything sexual, right? Not that I remember it or not either, right? But that's the only thing I can think I could have done that the mother would tell the daughter that was pedophilia when it wasn't to me, right? And what I'm doing there isn't to lick her. It's to smell her, right? Which, like I told you, it wasn't to see her naked, right? It wasn't to get close to her crotch, right? It wasn't to really lick her, right? It would be to smell her briefly to make sure she didn't stink or anything, right? And then, right, determine what to do next, right? I don't know. So what will be the next thing if I did smell something that night? A little pee or something, right? a bath, right? With who? Me at first, I guess, right? I don't know, right? I'm not thinking bad thoughts, right? Myself, right? Probably. Knowing me, right? Now, when I'm laughing because that's my sense of humor. If you don't get what I'm laughing at, ask me and I'll tell you, right? I know what I'm laughing at. The humor of all this. This is funny to me, right? How can trying to spell your stepdaughter go to molestation, right? Right. They're two different activities, right? But if my wife is trying to set me up, right? See, she's supposed to be asleep. If I brought her back in there to her, right? And told her a slightly different story, right? That's to protect the one I asked the child who showed her that, right? Which would be who? Grandma. See, that's her grandma. She don't know grandma from grandpa, right? I don't know. But what I'm doing, right, is a one-time thing, right? What Daphne could have done is coach her to remember it, but the wrong way, you know. See, a biased memory, right, means even if she don't remember if I touched it or not, right, by this time, or whenever they started freaking out over me saying I could have molested her but didn't, right, whoever it is, really, which is who, right, the biological dad, the biological mom, right, the grandma, right, my mother, right. I mean, who would think that, right? Right, that's where I get to face my accuser, right? And again, right, you can't say if the child's living with her grandmother, right, she herself didn't have to smell her crotch and stick her tongue out and else why would she say grandma showed her that, right? Which is what I'm assuming she did if I had to tell my ex-wife after she came in there, right? I would have to do that, right? To clear my name if she, let me do those things, right? Including undress in front of her and ask her who showed her that, right? The problem is, though, some men, mainly, right, don't think a stepdad, right, and get what I'm saying, too, should even be around their daughter, right? If you know what I mean, right? Now, the only way the biological dad and the mother could do something, right, is either they're setting me up to do it, right, which doesn't mean I'm doing it, right, to do it, you know what I mean, right, to actually perform oral sex on her, right. But what I am doing, right, is thinking along the lines of my sister or, changing her diaper, right, things like that, right. And again, running her baths, right, things like that, right. When she was a kid. But again, I don't look at that sexually, like I said, even when I took a shower with my mom, this stopped, right? So she's young enough for me to know that I'm thinking along the lines of she needs help to pee or a shower by then, right? Or something wrong, right? Or she might have peed herself, right? See, all I know is she's in there with me if she's by herself, right? I didn't see my ex-wife if I was doing that with her either, right? But there was an explanation for it. Yeah, what I thought was going on. Right. The reason she came in there and woke me up, whichever night it was before I moved back to base, Thursday through Sunday, right, is what I'm trying to figure out here, right? Could have happened, right? Well, like I said, two people can know, but one has to coach the other to even remember, right? That's the mom coaching the daughter, right? And see, licking her, don't have nothing to do with her finding a boyfriend in the future or not, right? One time, right? But I don't think I touched it because that wouldn't be the point of it. It would be to smell it, right? But then, of course, if you're not licking it, that's the point of sticking it out back up. See? What am I showing you? I'm smelling her, not licking her. If I were to do that. See? But the problem you have is this, right? Proving beyond all reasonable doubts why she was in there with me and how you know if I told Daphne a different story, right? See, that's the point too, right? You're not going to tell your ex-wife if she said her grandma showed her that the same thing you actually did for a reason, right? You're just going to say she was trying to wake me up and put her crotch in my face, which doesn't sound too crazy, does it? No. Either way, right? And I asked her who showed her that, and she said grandma. Either way, if she said grandma to both stories, right? I'm the one who has to tell that to my ex-wife in the middle of the night, right? And try to get her to, deal with it too, right? Because if she did, someone else, see, could have coached her. That's why. See, only if she's coached to do that more than one time, right, would she think of doing it with me. If Daphne was really asleep. Here's the problem, is she ain't asleep. She's trying to set me up with a 4-year-old. Can she do that? Right? Legally? Right. And see if I'll have sex with her stepdaughter, her daughter, right? Or my stepdaughter, right? Can she test me that way? No. Why? Because it will only happen that one time. Right. Problem is, I was already moving back to base because she left me in Tennessee, right? Even if the daughter did come in there to me and I'm trying to smell her to make sure she didn't pee or something, right? I'm still not looking at it sexually, right? But they could, right? Or the dad could, right? But how would they know, right? Who would know, right, of the parental units involved with it, right? See, that's a parenting thing, right? To smell it or not, right? And not a criminal thing, right? And there's only a slight difference in that what, right? I know children can pee their pants too, right? And their panties, right? Under 5. Hell, I was in the 2nd grade and I told you about what? The time you were watching Peter and the Wolf and Pete in class. Yep. It was so funny. And I just had to suddenly pee, right? And I also didn't want to miss the movie. And I peed my pants because I... right. Didn't know what to do, right? I mean, you're kind of stuck there watching the movie too, first. I know. So again, like I told you, that this was the second grade or third grade. I forget, third, I think, right? The first time there, maybe, right? I don't know. But I do have the right to explain if something happened that you're trying to make it a crime, right? See, that gives me a defense, right? Including if Daphne herself let her come in there to test me or not, right? See, she can't do that either, right? She can't test me sexually when it's late at night, right? And there are other reasons she can come in there, right? Reasonable doubt means, can I give a different opinion, right, about why I would smell her versus licking her, right? If I only did it once. And can I offer an alternative, right, explanation, right? Instead of I was really trying to lick her. Yes, I can, right? So, if I go to sleep around 11 and I don't interact with her till after 11 in the first place, right? I've already went to sleep and turned off the TV and might have just left on the light, right? So only if the child's somewhere in the living room can I interact with her, right? Right. So that's my point there, right? Whatever I'm trying to do with her, right? That I really don't remember, right? Either, right? But guessing, right? Because the first thing I asked the person is, what did I do? Lick her once, right? That's one of the first sarcastic things I said to them, right? Knowing there was something else I could have done instead, right? Smell her once. But stuck my tongue out all the way down and back up, right? And I might have even would tell them this too, right? Anyone this, right? Because it's not a crime. No, it's not a crime. It's not pedophilia to smell if your stepdaughter peed. Because girls pee differently than boys, right? Even when they wet themselves, right? Though it all gets in your breeches. Or on your skin, right? Pee and what else gets on your skin? And semen, even. And garment. Clothes, right? Now, I don't know what David's hang up about masturbation was or why. But it was so bad he was being featured on 2020 when I was going out there, right? Anyway. And I know now what he might have been doing, right? With some of the men who are trying to tell 2020, but they're probably lying a little too. I don't know how far he took it with them either, right? But if it involves masturbating with another man, and he was one of those men, right? Of course, he's using his authority as the pastor to get you to not even think he would do that. That's a lie. That's a lie. Because see, if he does it with you and he's lying about it, he's the one making it a sin, right? For you to do it with him, right? And the thing about that is, he's not supposed to do it either then, right? He's lusting after men, right? I'm jerking off with him, right? Well, just because the Bible says not to lust after a woman, it don't mean a man can not lust after a man either, right? See, the idea is simply this, right? If you're married, right, you're not to lust after a woman, not talking about single now, right, who you don't know is married or not, right? If you're married yourself, right? You cannot even look upon another woman with lust in your heart because you done committed adultery, right? But there's something more about this, right? Jesus explains later on about condemnation or forgiving, right? See, this is also what happens if you condemn adultery itself, as with the woman caught in the act of adultery whom he forgave, right? Whoever added that story did so because of this, right? And then John goes back to Jezebel in Revelations, right? And talks about throwing her into a bed and killing all her children that commit adultery right? with death. Is that all of us? Right? I mean, come on. Right? If we be born of fornication, that means our parents, unlike Adam and Eve, weren't perfectly paired together from the start, right? From the fall. Mm-hmm. Whoever Cain married, or King, right? And there has to be a sister somewhere. There has to be a sister somewhere. And there's two ways you can get one, right? If Satan's a hermaphrodite and had sex with Adam and Eve, right? To get to Adam, right? And show him the knowledge of good and evil. To do so to hurt Adam and shame him, right? He must first, what? Mm-hmm. Make him think it's okay with Eve. I know. Why? And then show him what it's like for himself with him, of him. He's offering him a 2-for-1 sale. I told you that before. He was getting 2 holes to see how it felt in both holes, right? And see, Eve is watching this with them. You got to understand. And so did Adam watch her interaction with him, right? Mm-hmm. Now, it could have started with her on top, but then Satan did her from behind and got the butt. Do you understand? But he was gentle with her. Mm-hmm. See, she kind of don't act as freaked out about it as Adam would. If you know what I mean, brother. The butt sex. It's not until he eats that the shame and the nudity is really revealed, right? Of the fruit of Satan's body, right? Which is his tree. Too metaphorically. You're like an apple tree, my love, she says. I sit in your shade and taste your fruit. You don't know what that means, huh? Okay. Play dumb. You're like an apple tree. I know. Among the young men. Right. I sit in your shade, and your fruit is sweet to my taste, right? No, you don't know what that means, huh? That's Cecile then, right? If you don't ask what it means, I know what it means. Because of what Moses said about the fruit of the body, right? What happens if you do the law? You're blessed. Shall be the fruit of your body, right? Itself. Your body also reproduces like the fruit from the fruit tree is how it reproduces, right? In Judges, the kings went about, the trees went about to make a king over them, right? But David is saying, I am an olive tree. And he also talks about the righteous being the tree planted by the water, right? There's your metaphors. Men are trees. Angels are trees. Right? If they come in the flesh, right? So you can't have sex unless you come into the flesh. But if you come into the flesh, you're lying that you're a god, right? And not a messenger, right? If you make them think by your technology you're greater than them, you are, right? If you're an angel from heaven and retained all your knowledge and you come to the earth, of course, you know how to make things scientifically, right? But the dumb humans don't yet, so they're going to think it's a marvel. Mm-hmm. The ancient aliens are right in that part, right? They're not gods, they're creatures from a different realm or planet or whatever, right? You want to call it, right? And according to the Bible, a third of them are following Satan and 2/3 are with Jesus, right? Still. So they're still outnumbered 2-1, but they're still sitting with us and teaching us to do good and evil, right? Now, like I said, it's not that I don't understand the confusion with the stepdaughter, but it is confusion, right? It's something you wouldn't really expect her to do, right? Right. The mom, the girl, or anyone to coach her to do it, right? Or someone to argue with me about it after I moved back to base, which is when I failed. The only time you can be blacked out, like I told you, right, or know something that only 3 people could know, is you were somehow involved with it and got something to be done to test the situation, right? Well, see, that would be me and my ex-wife's 3rd strike there, which is part of why I was moving back to base anyway, right? To give her some space with her daughter and see if it could work out, right? And as it went on, I realized it wasn't working out and filed for a divorce, right? Eventually. It wasn't still all at once, I know. And I still went home after getting out the hospital for a convalescent leave from November to December, right? Got back, right? Came back in a little bit between winter break, the second one, right? And again, right, went back and moved on and then started filing for the divorce and met Mary Bell and then, right? So, and that's the point, right? Now, I also, like I said, would have some sort of amnesia too from the fall. So again, if this was important to me, right, you again can't say the amnesia is why I don't remember it either, right? But I do know I have a stepdaughter. I do know I have an ex-wife. I do know I could have molested her, but didn't, right? And I'm not speaking to something specific that happened, right? When I say that, right? Except to say it would have to happen after we all went to sleep, and then, right? Part of why I don't remember is it would be that long, even to do all that, right? But like I said, right? It's all made up to me, right? Amnesia of something means it wasn't important to you. Remembering something means someone made it important to you. If it's the daughter or the mom, right? Or the dad who wasn't even there, right? He's the only one who can know he coached her or not with his life, right? Not me. No, you. That's not something I expect to happen either, right? And if I forgot it or don't remember it and someone else does, right? They're not helping nobody here, right? Because it's not a confession if I don't remember it either, right? It's amnesia, right? All right. It's guessing what you might be talking about. Not sure. The only way to be sure, like I told you, is a video. And I got to, if you have one, you got to show it to me so I can explain if I'm doing something or not, right? And what it is, right? Like I said, you can't just accuse me of molesting a child without proof I molested the child in the first place. If I licked her, there would be saliva on her vagina right now. When you can get a DNA swab, right? In 94, it started coming up, man. They were working on it in the 80s, right? By the 90s, they were starting to get it going, right? DNA testing, right? And that's what I mean, right? See, what I would see as trying to smell her, right, would look weird or seem weird, right? to the mom if she had to explain it to her what we actually did, right? But I'm trying to cover the grandma, right? Not myself. Right? If that's what she let me do, let's smell her and then says grandma's shoulder dead, right? And was trying to get her, see if she wanted a bath with me or something after that, right? And partially I'm dressed, but then redressed to dress her, right? See, that's still, without seeing the mom, right? If I'm doing all that, right? Hypothetically, right? See, those are the only things that I would think I would do oddly with her, but not criminally with her, right? Without knowing the details or remembering it fully, right? And then you're using your imagination, right? See, if Daphne ain't in there, there's no camera, and there's no, right, the child's the only source, right? She's not as reliable a witness, right? As an adult who can describe it all, right? But that's not why I'm doing it, right? The licking ain't the liquor, it's the smeller, right? If I offer a rational explanation and I'm mentally ill, what do you think you gotta do? Take the mental. Right. You gotta take the rational explanation over the parent wanting it to be pedophilia, right? And there's a reason for that, right? Bias. If the mom is trying to get something to happen, right? She knows the only way it can happen is if she lets her come in there alone, right? I'm already trying to go to sleep and already possibly asleep, right? Like I told you anyway. And then a few minutes later, or however long later, right, the daughter would have to kind of be staring at me by herself in the living room to wake me up, right? Or, like I told you, wake me up by going over by the couch and shaking me awake, right? Which would put my face where? In her crotch area, right? But that isn't too crazy, right? It kind of makes more sense than I'm trying to molest her, right? In the first place, right? But I don't know what's going on. See, I would also assume Daphne was asleep if I don't see her, right? And the child somehow wandered in there by herself after Daphne went to sleep, right? So what are you going to think, right? Why is she in there? First question you're going to ask, what does she need, right? She's a 4-year-old child. So there's only 2 more things. If the child's not telling me she's thirsty or hungry, she can eat. Peeing or bathing, right? Even I know that, right? Because I never seen my mom bathe my sister, idiot. Or I didn't have to bathe her a few times myself as a baby to 7 years old, right? But even I know around 4, you might can still run her bath order for her and get it the right temperature. She might still need you to do that until she's like 5 or 6, right? That's not a crime, Linda. It's not. If that's what you're thinking, right? You might also be not sure if she wants the bath with you or something, but then snap out of that too, right? Like I said, right? But that's still not masturbating to her like in a dream, like I said in the book. But by then I was talking about all that. It could have felt like a dream, could have done this, and but I really don't remember it either, right? See, we're going over my memory of it, right? For one, right? 2, you're making me nervous. I got amnesia of it, right? If it did happen, so even a lie detector test can't prove with all the harassment and you making me nervous about it that I did it or not, right? even if I feel it or not, right? Because, see, you're making me think something happened that's pedophilia, right? What's the difference, though, right? I'm not going to her for sex, right? And I also wouldn't think she's coming in there to me for sex. I told you what I would think. She had to pee or run in the bath. Yep. So you also can't read my mind and tell me what I'm thinking if the girl's in there with me or not, right? And there's only one way you can know all the details, and that's either from the girl by coaching her to remember it, right? And see, once you start coaching her, you're biased, right? In other words, you want her to remember it, but it's not as clear when she gets into adulthood what happened, right? You're done telling her I molested her, right? You're putting all that in her head, even if I'm not, right? I don't know. See, I also went on like nothing happened like that till I went and wrote the blogs in 2001, right? Or 5, or somewhere around the time I got on YouTube. 3, right? Wherever it was. I don't remember it, right? It's all around the same time. I'm doing it on Angel Fire. I'm doing live video. I'm doing other things, right? And also YouTube when it first comes out, right? So someone 6 months into my first channel, Shane One Lucky, starts bringing up the stepdaughter, which means what? Claiming to have read the blog and that it was a confession, right? Saying I could have molested someone but didn't is not a confession, is it? No. Nope. Even with the possibility of me thinking she needed to pee, right? Right.